Good evening. My name is Daryl. I am your critic this evening. Last week, I did a lightning round where I was given 15 seconds per record for 10 records straight. Now, I had to give very, very quick and quite often glib 15-second reviews on 10 random albums from my collection. And this was one of those albums. And I don't want to be too self-referential and think that I'm all that and a bag of chips with how hilarious I am. But I said something to the effect about how Roger Waters really needs to get past the wall metaphor and start and we get it. It's time to do something different, Roger. That's not an entirely fair description of this record. Now, everybody and their neighbor has a copy of this record. It's basically when you move to the suburbs, you get a copy of Fleetwood Mac's Rumors and Pink Floyd's The Wall and, Zeppelin 4. So, for those of you who are watching this, it may be just out of curiosity to see what yet another schlub has to say about Pink Floyd. For those of you who are watching this looking for some indication whether or not you should pick up Pink Floyd's The Wall, the undeniable answer is yes. You should pick up Pink Floyd's The Wall. It is a jarring depiction of depression and sadness and loneliness, and it possesses some of David Gilmour's best guitar solos. And I don't care how many times I hear Comfortably Numb, the guitar work on that is still extraordinary. That being said, this is one of my least favorite Pink Floyd records. Certainly of the time that Roger Waters was with them. The stuff after Roger Waters left is up for debate, although Delicate Sound of Thunder is also a very, very good record. And that was the first record without Roger in the band. But I digress. This record contains quite a few songs okay, so let me back up. It is a concept record, and it basically follows the story of a man who is sort of going kind of crazy. That's a very, 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 very brief description of the narrative but that's very encapsulates in a very loose terms sort of the concept of this album, and it involves him delving into childhood memories. It involves him moving on to becoming an adult, and then losing touch with himself and losing touch with the rest of the people around him, and then finally it's up for debate whether he actually gets back to a 0 point or whether he just ends up dying. And that's entirely up to the interpretation of the lyrics and the record itself from start to finish. This is 26 tracks long. It is a marathon listen to, and it is, for me, it's always been difficult to listen to from start to finish. And a lot of Pink Floyd's stuff can sometimes be difficult to get through from start to finish. I'm talking about, say, Amagama, which contained a lot of very odd music. Several small species of animals gathered together in a cave and grooving with a pict is something that immediately comes to mind. And you sometimes wonder if Pink Floyd were so heavily under the influence of the chemicals that they were divulging in that no one bothered inside or outside their camp to say, no, that's not so good. Don't put that out. Now, on this record, there's a few tracks that I've always felt are kind of like that, and there's a few tracks that just kind of felt lazy, especially in comparison to some of Pink Floyd's greatest records, like Animals, or, of course, Dark Side of the Moon. I'm talking about songs like Young Lust, Run Like Hell. They just seem kind of lazy in comparison to songs like Us and Them, or Welcome to the Machine. Now, in of themselves, they're just straight-ahead rock and roll songs. Pink Floyd are not a straight-ahead rock and roll band, and I think that's what, for me as a listener, kind of made it difficult to take those songs seriously. But they're fine as rock and roll songs. But there's other songs in here like Vera and Waiting for the Worms that you just think they're trying to flesh out, if you pardon the pun, in the flesh. If they're trying to flesh out the narrative, trying to flesh out the story, and the best way for them to do that can sound the most musically bizarre. And musically bizarre is not something that Pink Floyd ever strayed away from, and kudos to them. But for me as a listener, it's kind of jarring. And so when I reach to my collection for a Pink Floyd record, I very rarely reach for the wall. A, because I feel it's kind of been overdone, and B, because, let's face it, Pink Floyd's best album is Dark Side of the Moon. And Dark Side of the Moon is one of my top 5 Desert Island picks, while Pink Floyd as a band is probably in maybe the top 40 or 50 of my favorite bands of all time. So for them, for a band who is not one of my even top 20 favorite bands, to create one of my top 5 all-time records speaks to how strong that record was. And in my opinion, how, in comparison, while I've always felt The Wall is an admirable effort and contains some very, very good music, it never quite hit the mark for me as a fan of some of their other work. Again, especially in comparison to Dark Side of the Moon and the masterpiece that is Animals. So, I want to apologize to Roger for saying those kind of mean things about how he needs to get over how his daddy wasn't around and, you know, needs to move past the wall metaphor. But, you know, you've written better music than this. But I can see why a lot of people love it so much. So, that's all I have to say on that. I'm going to be off for a few days. I'm doing stuff, and I'm not going to be able to post any videos, so I'll see you in a couple days when I get back from doing the stuff that I am doing. My name is Daryl. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe. And in the comments below, leave some comments. You can tell me I'm an idiot for not loving this record, or you can tell me what your favorite Pink Floyd record is. Or you can just, you know, tell me what your favorite color is, since we're talking about pink. Maybe your favorite color is purple. Who knows? That's up to you. So, like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you in a few days. My name's Daryl. I've been your critic. Go out and listen to some music, because music is great.